Okie dokie, we're live.
We're live. Okay, so here's what's happening. So I want the knife. Oh, do you know what movie that's from? I know you don't.
No.
It's a Golden Child, Eddie Murphy.
Okay.
It's an 80s movie. You haven't seen it yet, but you'll get there.
Okay.
Okay, so I want the AD&D. I've been wanting to play AD&D, and I can play online, but I don't want to. And there's no chance of putting together a group that I don't have to DM. And I kind of don't want to DM because it's a major commitment, and the fun is being a player. For me, I could DM, and I would enjoy it, but it also feels like work. Anyway, not in the mood. So I thought, okay, I'll run a solo campaign. And I've been watching a couple of YouTube channels. One of them is The Joy of Wargaming, and the other one, I really want to mention, is Character NPC. And those guys have been running, or in the past have run, solo AD&D campaigns, and they kind of inspired me. So I started rolling up a bunch of characters, and I have a whole bunch of characters. And I love the Greyhawk setting. You're looking at the wonderful 1980 original printing of the 1980 Darlene map of the Greyhawk setting. It's in 2 panels, 1 page here, 1 page here. And you can't see all of it. This is some more of it. And this is just the eastern half, or the eastern portion of the continent of OSRIC, on the planet Oith. And this area is called the Flanness, named after the Flann people who were the first humans to settle in these lands. So we're looking at a map of the Flanness. It was first hand-drawn by Gary Gygax in 1978, and then put together as this beautiful piece of artwork by an artist named Darlene Pecool. She later dropped her last name, and she's like Prince. She's just Darlene now. And Darlene made this awesome map, and also a ton of old artwork from back in the day. Now, why am I talking about the map? I was talking about solo campaign, and then I started talking about the map.
Yeah. I don't know why.
I made a weird jump.
Well,
So if I'm going to play, I want to play in Greyhawk. If I'm going to run, I want to run Greyhawk because I love this setting. This is the original setting that Gary Gygax started in late 1972 and built for many years with other collaborators. And it's awesome, and I love it. And you can do anything with it. In many ways, it's a post-apocalyptic world because there have been times of higher magic in the past and possibly even higher technology in the past. There have been great empires in the past, but they're all washed away by the seas of time and the rains of time, and things are a little bit crazy and a bit dangerous here in the Flanness these days. So it's a little bit of a post-apocalyptic thing, but it's also very sword and sorcery, and it's just, you can do absolutely anything. So my idea is to run a solo campaign in the World of Greyhawk using AD&D. Wait, I gotta get my props out. AD&D, where's yours? Put yours up. These are the props. Yeah, and then the thing is there is, these are available on DriveThruRPG, not with these covers, but if you don't want to support the jerkwads that currently own this game, you can do something like this. This is called OSRIC, Old School Reference and Index Compilation. It is a clone of AD&D. It's not exact, but it's really, really close. It's missing some things, but it's really, really close. And the super nice thing about it, don't make fun of me for saying super. I know it sounds very yuppie, but anyway, is that they came out with a new player's guide, I don't know, back about January of this year. It's awesome. It is so useful, and it is written to actually be played out of rather than this is written just to allow people to publish products for AD&D, even though they can't get a license from the hosers who own the game now. So that's a complicated, convoluted way of saying I want to play AD&D, and you can too, using these books. So, World of Greyhawk, AD&D, solo campaign, except I'm here with Ethan. Hello, Ethan.
Hello there.
I'm Jason, by the way, and this is Ethan. And Ethan wants to play AD&D too, but I don't want to be a DM and run like a campaign for one player, even using multiple characters. I don't want to do that. So we're going to kind of do a solo campaign with 2 players. So it's not really a solo campaign, but it's a solo campaign because we're going to use the charts and everything, and we'll talk about this a little bit. Oh, let me show this off while I'm at it. A little World of Greyhawk. This is what the map came from. The World of Greyhawk folio from 1980. It's got information about these lands in it. Okay, so where to start? Well, I thought I would pick a simple starter module, and where better to start than with B1 in Search of the Unknown, written by Mike Carr. It was the first basic D&D module that was published, and I believe it was originally in the Holmes box set, starting in 1977. This is my copy that I got back in the early 80s. And the original version of this is for basic D&D, but basic D&D and AD&D are so close to each other, I can convert them on the fly without any problem whatsoever. In fact, when I was a kid back in the 80s, it was like we didn't recognize them as even being different games. We just thought one was basic and one was advanced, just like the names say. And we thought they were the same game. Didn't find out for 35 years that we were supposed to consider them separate games, completely separate games, because they're very close to each other. So anyway, this is an awesome module. This module, though, it's a starter module for starter DMs and starter players. It has a great map, really interesting in rooms, but it is blank on monster encounters and treasures in the dungeon. And it's left that way for a new DM to learn how to populate a dungeon. It's left that way on purpose. And for my purposes of a solo campaign where I'm going to be rolling randomly for encounters, that's perfect because I would be rolling anyway. So the fact that this module forces you to roll is perfect. So the next question is, where do we place this module on the Greyhawk map? It was later placed, well, first there were suggestions to place it in Greyhawk, either in, let's center the map a little bit. Let's clear the table a little bit. There were suggestions in the original printing of this module to put this either here in the Duchy of Ten, or here in, I believe, the Barony of Radek. I believe it's a barony. And the reason is because the premise behind this module is that there's an underground fortress that was built by a fighter and a magic user, and many years ago they went north to the lands of the barbarians to go adventuring, and they never came back. So the premise is there's a fortress there that's been abandoned for many, many, many years. Hey, let's go check it out. Maybe they left some riches behind. That's the premise that gets things going with this module. So if they went north in the Flyness to the lands of the barbarians, well, those lands are right up here. There's a big glare. Sorry about the glare. Can't do anything about it. But this is the Thilronian Peninsula, and it's full of barbarians. Basically, Vikings. Frost barbarians, snow barbarians, ice barbarians, hold a stone fist. They're all basically... That's basically Scandinavia. If you need a place to compare it to on Earth, that's Scandinavia. That's the Scandinavia of Greyhawk. So you need to be south of a place that has barbarians, so the Duchy of Ten, the Barony of Radek are two places that are south of where all the barbarians are. So it's perfect. Now what Ethan and I have to decide is, these are all 30-mile hexes. Somewhere here in Radek and somewhere here in the Duchy of Ten, we're going to pick a hex to put this in. And then we're going to use this book from Judges Guild. It's called Village Book 1 to put a starting town. And all this is it says it's a universal supplement, but that's code for, this is for D&D, but we didn't get a license to do it, so we're calling it universal. This is a whole bunch of maps and descriptions of different villages, so a DM can just drop it into their campaign. You need a village, boom, open this book, pick a village, boom, you got a village. So my idea is, pick a village out of here, put it about 12 miles away from the dungeon, so that the players have a place to go with all their loot. And it's not a great big city. I don't want to start in one of these great big cities that are on this map, because you're talking about 15,000 people or more. I've got things I could use for that, but it's kind of hard in D&D to run a big city, and I just don't want to start off running a city with 15,000 inhabitants. It's a lot. It's a lot. And when you think about all the things you have to do, it's a lot. It's doable, but it's a lot, and I don't feel like getting into it right off the bat. So, we're going to pick one of these hexes, something that makes sense. We're going to put this in the hex, and we're going to put this in the hex. These are 30-mile hexes. And then I am going to possibly use this, the campaign hexagon system from Judges Guild, or possibly use this, the hexagonal mapping booklet from TSR, or, and most likely, use this because this has terrain generation in it, random terrain generation. And I am going to fill out this 30-mile hex. I've divided it up. It's a 30-mile hex with 3-mile hexes inside of it. So once we know what 30-mile hex we're using on the Greyhawk map, I'll be able to put in some of the edges and then randomly put in the dungeon, put in the town, and randomly generate some of the rest of it. And that might indicate other dungeons, other castles, other things. I don't know. We'll find out when we start rolling dice. And then we'll be out for the races. We'll have a 30-mile hex to explore that we know has one dungeon in it and one village in it. And that's the idea. Now, I have rolled, I think, 10 characters, all human, one of each class, plus some of the classes from Dragon Magazine. I rolled an archer, I rolled a bounty hunter, I'm in the process of rolling a duelist, but I never finished it. So I have 10 or 11 characters that I can roll out with. And Ethan, what do you got?
I have 3 characters. Only one of them is complete. It's a dwarf cleric. And then I've got a halfling thief that is incomplete. And I have I believe it's a human paladin somewhere around here. Actually, I don't think it's at the table. But I have a paladin, a human paladin.
Dwarf cleric, human paladin,
and a halfling thief.
Halfling thief. All right. And we'll get into characters and everything else later. But for now, I think our first move is to pick a hex and then figure out where to put the dungeon, where to put the village, which village. And then actually we can procedurally generate as we're traveling through these 3-mile hexes back and forth.
Okay.
So we don't have to right now, before we start, have every one of these 3-mile hexes filled in. Right?
Sounds about right.
In fact, it's probably best if we don't.
Yeah.
But, okay, so this dungeon, this fortress, we know is built into the side of a hill or a mountain. It's underground, and there's a tower above the entrance. There is a small mini module that was created by a fan that I'm going to use for that tower, because we know there's a tower from the artwork, but the tower isn't actually in the module. It's a weird thing, and somebody came along years later and finished that tower out. So I'm going to print that off and use that also as part of this dungeon. And then there is a dungeon B 1.5 that was put out. I forget who put it out, but they had like a print run of like 300, and they have no plans apparently of printing any more. It's impossible to find a copy. They didn't do PDFs. I cannot get my hands on it. It's intended to be a sequel to this. Maybe adds extra levels. I'm not really sure. I can't get my hands on a copy of it. What's off screen? Oh, I'm off screen. Okay. Uh-oh, I gotta stay centered. This. Okay, so that's the plan. So, let's pick a hex on the big map.
Okay.
And let's get this centered. Okay. So, here. Here's what we got. We got the Dutch E10, we got Radic. I kind of want to stay away from Radic, and here's why. Neither one of them is perfect. Here's why. So I know for a fact that Len Lakofka has an unpublished module that takes place right about here on the map, on the coast of Radic. It's awesome. If I use Radic, I want to use that unpublished material. And it also includes there's also a lighthouse that Len wrote. There's also a trading post out here in the forest. And there's like a timber mill up the coast here. All that Len created that's never been published, but I have access to it because after he passed away, I was helping to edit it. Yeah, so if I'm going to run Radic, I'm going to run that stuff also, which isn't a bad thing. The other thing is Carlos Lysing, great guy. He runs Castle Entertainment. He publishes AD&D Greyhawk modules, and he's written a module that takes place on the coast of Radic. I don't have a copy of it, so I would need to order it and wait for the mail. And I don't really want to do that. I don't want to wait for the mail. So, yeah. Radic is cool because it's a barony that broke off declared its independence from the Great Kingdom many years ago. The Great Kingdom used to be a great big empire, but it has been receding as its outer provinces break away and declare independence, and it has fallen into decadence because the ruling family has turned to like demon worship. They've become very evil. So, but that being said, they want their empire back. So that's a source of very interesting conflict in this part of the Flyness. There's not a lot of official adventures made for this part of the Flyness, but there's some third-party stuff from Rob Kuntz and others. There's plenty of information. That's the thing about the Greyhawk setting. The fan community has been producing stuff since the late 70s, and it's all online, it's all accessible on a couple of websites or in blogs, I mean, forums. You can, the Knights and Knaves Ale House has amazing things you can download. Without getting into a lot of detail, there is so much stuff for Greyhawk. Yeah. It's overwhelming. It's overwhelming how much stuff there is. Not like the Forgotten Realms setting, but still, I have access to more material for this setting than I would ever be able to use in my entire life, or another life. That's one of the wonderful things about this. So, okay, so that's Radek. Radek is just south of the Frost Barbarians. Sometimes they come down like Vikings do and they raid along the coast, but Radek has, I believe, recently formed some kind of truce with the Frost Barbarians. So now the Barbarians have been sailing down the coast and raiding further to the south and leaving Radek alone. This place, the Bone March, has been overrun by orcs, goblins, ogres, you name it, that came down out of these mountains. So all these mountains can be assumed to be full of nasty things. Now, there is a legend here in the Griff Mountains that thousands of years ago there was a high elf civilization with a fabulous city full of terraced hillsides and crops and gardens, and they had knowledge of great magic, but something happened, they vanished, and their lost city has never been found. So that's sort of an adventure hook that exists here in the Griff Mountains. So the other option is the Duchy of Ten, moving on over. The Duchy of Ten is a flan area. What does that mean? It means it's still occupied by the original humans to occupy this part of the world. In a lot of places they were displaced or intermarried, interbred, and have become not so much of a... They've become a more common part of the culture, but here it is still very much a flan culture. And if you recognize that name, Gary Gygax borrowed that name from Dave Arneson's Blackmore campaign, where the original Duchy of Ten was. And before that, it was part of a wargaming campaign. Anyway, so the Duchy of Ten. You've got the Troll Fens over here to the east. Very dangerous. Technically, part of the Duchy, part of it is in the Duchy, but the Duchy doesn't really control it. It's literally infested with disease and trolls and horrible things. To their southeast, they have the Theocracy of the Pale. These are good people, but they are intolerant. They worship a god called Fultus. They are a theocracy, and they call it the Church of the Blinding Light, and they demand that everybody bow down to their way of worshiping their god. So they're not bad people, but they will insist you believe the way they want you to believe, so that kind of leads to conflict. And because the Duchy of Ten is Flan, Flan is the old faith. The Flan people worship the old faith. They are the druids of Greyhawk. And more on that later. So this is a druidic area, religion-wise. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, there's a forest to the south. I don't remember if that's considered a fairy forest or not. There's a forest to the west called the Fellreave. And then you get into Bandit Kingdoms, Rovers of the Barrens. You get into dangerous stuff. To the north, you've got mountains. You've got barbarians. You're up into frozen lands. So I'm tempted to start with the Duchy of 10, but we can also go with Radic. What say you, Ethan?
I think the Duchy of 10 sounds pretty cool.
Well, that was easy.
Yeah.
Duchy of 10.
Yeah.
Okay, so we know that this is either in a hillside or in the side of a mountain. So I think we need to pick one of these hexes that borders the mountains.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Not next to the troll fens. I don't know what Catbutt is. There's a pass through the mountains here. So Catbutt is probably, that is the name of the place, C-A-T-B-U-T, Catbutt. Rule 0 in Greyhawk is we name, Rule 0 is make it your own. Rule 42 is we name things badly. And this town is named Catbutt. It's probably a fortress because it's at the end of a pass that goes through the mountains that leads straight to the barbarian lands. So it's probably a fortress protecting the south from the raids of the barbarians, I would imagine. I don't know anything else about it. The capital of the Duchy of 10 has got a great name. Nevend. Nevnend is the name of the capital. Rule 42, we name things badly. So I think we pick one of these hexes, and we know that these are 30-mile hexes, not the hex that has the city in it. Okay, but one of these, come on, are you looking?
Yeah, I'm looking.
All right, pick a hex. Or do we want to just go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and roll a d6? And do you want to put your finger on one of these and pick one? Or do we want to be over here closer to the troll fens? We could do that too. Although I feel like the south side of the Griff Mountains is a more appropriate place for the description of this module.
Yeah, there's two spots that I'm imagining this to be, and one is this hex right here.
Okay.
And the other one is this hex right here.
This one?
Yeah,
or this one?
That one, yeah.
Okay, so that then it would be okay.
One of those two. I'm kind of leaning more towards this one.
All right.
North, but
so if we wanted to get to the capital city, we'd have to cross this river. But this city is actually at the confluence of these two rivers that come down out of the mountains. So above this town, these are probably not navigable rivers. They're probably really fast current because they're coming down out of the mountains and falling a lot in elevation. But I think that this town, being at the fork in this river, I think everything south of here is probably navigable, at least by canoes, small barges, right, all the way to the lake. And so that means one could maybe hop on a boat and go just about anywhere in the world by water. So there, not too far away from the capital, really. It looks like it's about 60 miles away from the capital. Mm-hmm. Or here, again, about 60, 80 miles away from the capital. You get closer to the troll fens. I don't know. You want to flip dice or you want to pick one?
There's one other place I thought this would be a cool spot right here.
Where the hills and the mountains meet. I agree.
Maybe we could roll like a...
I agree. Now, keep in mind, the Rovers of the Barrens are also Flan people. They are nomadic. They aren't very settled. They hunt, gather, and herd. They are pastoral people. They go north in the summer and south in the winter. They follow herds around, hunting them. That's the rovers of the barrens. And every now and then, if they all get together and unite, then they become a really powerful force to be reckoned with, because they're horse warriors.
Let's see.
Yeah. So we could be closer to them there. Should we read up on the Bluff Hills?
Yeah, I don't know anything about the Bluff Hills.
I don't know. So, but we can look in here. Let's see what this says about the Bluff Hills.
Piece your book in.
Yeah, it's old. It's old, man. Geographical features, hills and highlands, page 22. Hills and highlands. Bluff Hills. Let's see. The western terminus of the Griff Mountains, okay, slowly decreases into a series of rugged ridges and steep hills. The range separates the states of the Bandit Kingdoms here from the lands of the rovers of the barons there. The former now occupy and claim the Bluff Hills as their territory. The Bandit Kingdoms claim the Bluff Hills as their territory? As they do the whole of the Felry Forest. Okay. The Bandit Kingdoms are individual city-states set up by bandits who settled down and founded settlements. So that's why they're called the Bandit Kingdoms. They're not organized. They're not actually even real kingdoms, really. The nomads to the north are too weakened to effectively dispute this move. These guys. The Bluff Hills are said to contain small deposits of copper and gold. Numerous monsters roam the area, and many ogre bands make it their home. Numerous monsters, many ogre bands. It's still a much friendlier place, I believe, than the Troll Fens. Where did that piece of plastic go?
Oh, it's up here.
Oh. Alright, so what are we gonna do?
I don't know.
Pick a hex.
Should we roll like a D3?
Sure.
Do like 1,
Sure.
2, 3?
Do you want me to pull out one?
Sure, I don't have my dice.
Should we use the Holy Dice Tower?
Okay, the Holy Dice Tower.
There's the Holy Dice Tower. And I will select a die. Okay.
Okay.
You roll. Wait, we didn't decide which hex was which.
I said 1, 2, 3.
Okay, so that's a 2.
Yeah.
Alright, so we're starting right there. Done.
Okay.
So I need to start on this. So this hex is that spot right there, then these are mountains here. And that hex is entirely green, which means it's grassland, but that doesn't mean that every 3-mile area subhex is a grassland. It just means that most of it should be grasslands, right?
Yep.
So there could be hills, there could even be a lone mountain out here somewhere. So, all right. Hold on.
I'm holding.
You're holding. You're doing a good job. You're holding. You said you good job holding. Okay. So do we want brown or light brown for mountains? I think brown.
Yeah, that's what I would think.
Okay. So using this hex, we know that this and this
should all be mountains. Or,
Not necessarily, but primarily. Or hills.
okay. Could be like foothills on the edges of the mountains.
And so it makes sense to just place... Let's figure out which hex we want to put this in.
Okay.
This module.
Yep.
Should we put it up in here, or should we put it over here?
I would think somewhere over, like in this area over here.
Okay, we're gonna put it right here.
Okay.
X. That is the dungeon that we've heard of that we want to go check out. Now our village, we haven't picked a village yet. We want it to be about 12 miles away. So 3 mile hexes, 1, 2, 3, 4. So somewhere here, we want to put a village. Pick a hex.
So there is a river coming down somewhere over here.
But it's going to be off this hex.
I know.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, probably makes sense.
I mean, when we start rolling, we might find out that there's a river flowing through here.
Yeah.
Or something.
Yeah.
It makes sense. I mean, actually, when we look at some of these villages, some of them
Probably have
creeks and rivers. So somewhere in here, we want to put a village.
Yeah.
We want to just mark it. Or we pick. About 4 hexes away from here.
Yeah. I'm inclined to say something like this. This hex.
Do it again.
This hex right there.
Okay, there's the town.
Okay.
We got a village, we got a town. Let's pick a village.
Okay.
Now we can literally just flip through and stop on a village. Or we can roll a die. Wait, I thought that this had, come on, man, I thought this had descriptions. These are just maps. Oh, they're just maps. Ooh, oh, wait. How to send payment. What? Okay, wait. Are these really just maps? Oh, it's got charts to roll. Ooh. It's got all kinds of charts to roll up the village. Okay. Do we want to do that? Do we want to follow all this and try to roll up a village?
We could.
But then what's the point of campaign? What's the point of all these maps then? Are they numbered? No. They're just maps. So page 13. What is that? That is so detailed. Look how detailed this dice is.
Yeah.
I don't know. Are these 1 mile hexes? I don't know what they're supposed to be. Very detailed. Scary detailed. This is like an open area. Big wide river. Should we? How interesting is that? Okay, well maybe we'll roll up this town. Alright, so these maps go from, yeah, verily. Have you subscribed?
No, I haven't subscribed now.
Oh, Ethan.
Unfortunately.
Okay, so from page 13 to page 60. So that is 47 pages. Oh, wait. Yeah, 47 maps. Oh, this one actually has a castle. 47 maps of towns.
What do you want to do? Like roll a percentage die? Just do like.
There's 47. So how do you roll 1 to 47? You can't.
Yeah.
Or I could start doing this when he gets his stop.
Okay. Stop.
Oh. Right or left?
Uh,
Right, roll.
Okay.
What do I do with the die? Okay, roll. 1 to 3 is left.
Okay.
Okay, left. Page 44, we got a map of the village.
Pretty small village.
Yeah. And what is everything? So this looks like a creek, a lake, more creeks.
A smaller lake to the north of the big one.
There's a
Pond.
road that goes through.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And if this is a 1 mile hex,
Why is there a road that goes in a circle here, but it has no?
that's not a road, that's a hill.
Oh, okay.
So those are the sides of the hill.
Got it. I see. Okay.
Alright, so it's a real basic town. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 structures? Interesting. So this road could go this way to Nevon Nevnend. That makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
And this road goes.
Be going.
Where do we pick here?
Yeah. So I guess.
And this road goes to the east.
So probably somewhere in between that river and,
It goes to
that
the
mountain range there.
east, which I would think would like go up to Catbutt.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. That makes sense.
Okay. Okay, so that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna start with this, and we're gonna start with this town. We're gonna say this is a 1 mile hex, and we're gonna start a campaign going.
All right.
But I feel like I need to take a break.
What's the time out? We've been recording for 42 minutes.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, we know what we're gonna do. It took us 42 minutes. Let's take a break, and then we will. Should we use the rules in here to roll up the town?
Sure.
Just for grins.
Okay. Sounds good.
Just for grins.
That'd be cool.
Why not?
All right.
Okay, we'll use the roll. Okay, well, let's take a break.
Okay.
All
All
right.
right. We will be back